this is Mallika and Audrey, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Unwind. Not just another episode though, this is the last episode of season 2, season finale. We are finally there.
I know, we have come to the end after a whole month of batch recording, I would say.
Like we did not mention batch recording.
Why not?
Okay, we're transparent here.
Huh, sorry?
We're transparent.
Yeah, we're transparent. We're transparent like that. What's wrong with saying batch? You know, they all know that when we record these things, it's not going to be on the day itself, or like, you know.
That is true. That is true. No, but it's been a while.
It's been a whole month, I would say. We did spend quite a lot of time preparing for this, managing. You know, we had multiple guest stars on this season.
I think the one thing that I'm very, very grateful for is that we could just do it in person.
Yeah.
And not be stuck behind, like, for most of it, like, behind, like, a screen.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, so much more fun doing it this way and just being in the same room.
I know. I just feel like it's such an upgrade, you know?
Upgraded.
But we'll be downgrading back.
No, we never know.
Yeah, true. But
we never know.
I'm just sad that you're leaving. Oh my god, she is leaving.
Can we not talk about me leaving, Audrey? Like, I literally am getting so much anxiety right now. Like, I'm leaving in 4 days. 3 days.
3 days. Oh my god, Mallika's leaving in 3 days.
She's
leaving the goddamn continent.
That is so true. I'm getting hot again. I'm getting so nervous. It's fine. Good things. Good things. We have to get out of somewhere to go somewhere. Or to be somewhere.
Exactly.
It's like a dialect from like an Indian movie. I stick by it. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
No, but this season has been great though. I think from just me and Audrey just talking to one another to us actually talking to people who consider themselves successful, have been from various backgrounds, from acting, theater, makeup, fashion, creativity, journalism, investment banking. Oh my god, like to just name a few. It's just been so much.
Yeah, I would say it's been a world where we learned a lot, right? We've met so many different people of different backgrounds, different career choices. You know, some have started their own journeys, some dedicated towards the career they wanted and they've achieved it. Some just never knew what their passion was and was just okay with that. You know, they went with the flow with things and they excelled in it. And I think, you know, for us in our 20s, looking at all of these people and all of these individuals in their late 20s, 30s, or even 40s who are, you know, giving advice and, you know, telling us about their journey, it just occurred to me that, you know, regardless of age and regardless of whatever stage of life you're in, everyone has feelings of setback. You know, at every stage in life you're gonna have setbacks and you're gonna feel lost, you're gonna feel uncertain. So like for someone like us in our 20s to feel uncertain now, I think that's just the beginning. Yeah,
it's normal. It's just a start. Like I agree. I feel like season 1 we talked so much about our feelings, right? Like figuring out who we are.
Yeah.
And like feeling like 20,000 emotions at once. I think it was just so good to like just talk about who we can be once we have figured out how to deal with our emotions.
Yeah.
But then, as you said, like you just realize that that's just the beginning of us feeling a certain way or like seeing ourselves in a certain light.
Yeah.
But these people that we have spoken to, like they are like in their 30s or like late 20s, and now they feel that they're fulfilled after going through the same thing that you potentially are going through right now. So it's completely normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still difficult to like be okay with it, like when you're dealing with it now. But I think it's about trusting the process.
It's all about trusting the process. You will never know what's coming for you in the future. Like you can have, I think that's one of the main things I've learned like throughout this time, which is like you can never plan ahead, right? Like even if you plan tomorrow or the next 5 months or the next 5 years, you would never know where you might end up. You know, your plan could be drastically different. It could be according to plan, but it also could be drastically different in 5 years.
I agree. And I think the one thing that based on that, like on our podcast, I do not know who said this, but like I think what they said was it's good to have that space in your life that welcomes that change.
Yeah.
Because if you're so stuck on like, oh, I want to like do, I don't know, like investment banking, for example.
Yeah.
And you just are on that path. Like if something else like better comes your way, like because you're so strict on that horse binders with like the investment banking thing, you might not give that thing a chance. That might literally change your life one day.
Exactly. So, like I think regardless within our individual careers and like in businesses as well, I think the main lesson learned is always like you have to be adaptive, right? You need to learn how to pivot when the time calls for it. You know, you can be set on one career path for for the next 5 years and think you can make it, but if something a better opportunity comes along the way, it's some people might take it, some people will be like, you know what, I don't want to take it. Yeah, but it's always good to be open and flexible and just embrace whatever that comes.
I agree. I think that's what this episode is about. It's about us discovering who we are along with multiple people who might be watching this episode with us, and just throwing a lot of spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks, as Audrey says all the time. Literally, I think that's what we've been doing along as well. Like in these last 3 or 4 months, we've just been trying out each and everything possible that comes our way and being very open to it, and just seeing what we like to do and just going with that and being very okay with not knowing what's ahead.
Exactly. I think, throughout the past few episodes that we have throughout this entire season, we've had a lot of guests come up onto this podcast, into the space that we are in right now. We have talked a lot about their journeys, about how they came to be.
Yeah.
But we have not really talked about us. It's been a while since we shared about our own personal journey, about how we felt and how we overcame it as a person in our 20s. So maybe we want to dive into that today.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I'm such a different person. Only been like 2 months. So I'm like, I am such a different person now. Even with my mindset and the way that I approach things.
Yeah.
Like, I think even 3 months ago when we finished season 1, I was very uncertain about what's next for me. I was very unsure about my decisions. I was questioning each and everything that I've been doing. And now I'm excited for what's next. Do I know what's next really? I have absolutely no clue. All I know is I have my flight on a Monday evening, and that's all that is confirmed. Everything except that, I have no idea. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see what's next. And I think that happens because I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. I think this is just an incident that I was talking to Audrey about 3 days ago. Whenever something wrong happens, on a weekday, I'm like, I know who I need to call right now.
Me.
Audrey.
She calls me at what time was it?
I think I called you at again 12:30ish, 1 p.m.
I was in the middle of taking I was about to go into the shower.
And I was sobbing. And she's like, are you crying? And I'm like, maybe. Yeah, I'm crying. But oh my god, I basically thought I had my life set for Dubai for the last 2 months. And I'm like, I know the company I'm going to. I'm getting to branding, marketing, all things that I basically would love to do. And then for some reason, unknown, I just could not do it anymore. And I was told this 3 days ago that things did not work out and I did not have that anymore. And I was like, oh my god, all I worried about was changing country. Now I have to worry about getting another thing that I have to look forward to and work for. And I just did not know what was happening to me. And I just felt like, have I been pretending that my life is set and my entire perception of me is a lie? I was questioning myself, and I told you, and then I'm like, I do not know who to talk or what to do. And I'm like, I think Audrey will understand. So I called her and I'm like, I am just feeling useless. I'm feeling like my entire world has shattered at 23. Even though nothing really major happened, I'm like, I have no plan and I'm really scared. I don't even know how to tell my parents or to face anyone. And she's like, listen, I can come or go for a walk. I'm like, I'll do what Audrey does when she feels.
Go for a walk. A walk a day solves all your problems and chase them away.
Yes, I literally spoke to myself in the mirror and I'm like, this is not working right now. I went for a walk and I just processed how I was feeling. I just thought about, listen, what has happened, why it has happened, and why am I feeling the way I'm feeling. And I was questioning myself, and after 3 hours of me doing that, I'm like, this would not, me crying would not help anyone. And it was getting very windy, that's why I came. That's the real reason. It was getting very windy. No. Hand in heart, it was getting too windy after 3 hours of me crying, and I'm like, the sun is gone. I have to go home and cry now.
London does that to you. London be like, you know what? You have no choice but to go home and cry. You can't afford to cry outside. It's too windy.
No, literally, I came home and I'm like, okay, hide my face, my brother can see me. Went into my bathroom, started crying again. I recorded myself. And then I'm like, let's face this. I think if you want anything hard, hard enough, you'll get it.
Yeah.
I literally wiped my tears, like sounds so dramatic. And I literally told her, like I literally went on my laptop, spoke to my connections, like did a few things on my laptop, like started cold emailing people like I do with sales. And I had 2 interviews set up the next day. And like things are looking better, like nothing is finalized, but like things are looking up. And I told Audrey, like it's in a very different industry, which I did not think I would want to get into. And now I'm more excited for this than I've ever was before.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. I have just learned to trust the process and have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
And you will be fine.
Exactly. It's been, wow.
It's oh my god, I told Audrey, because I recorded myself crying like horribly. I still look at it and laugh.
Yeah.
I look at the recording from 3 days ago, Audrey. It's been like less than 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, how life has changed.
Life can, I think the past few months have been very pivotal to us.
Every single day something happens.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel a bit renewed in that sense. Like throughout those few months, like I really questioned myself, like asking myself, is this what you want? Is this the career path that you want? Like what's stopping you from going to another career path, for example, like media production, which is what we're doing right now, which is something I also like, you know, what's stopping me from going into something more creative than the current path that I'm on, right? And I've explored, you know, the possibility of all these options that came about, right? And I asked myself, I've questioned myself, I've been through interviews and rejections, lots of them. There were days that I thought I was going to get the job and I didn't, and it was just really hard, right? Thank God that I had a good enough support system here in London and my family back home to support me, that like when I had the rejection, all I could do was cry and just be sad for a couple of days. And then the next day we were like, okay, we sit down, we problem solve, like, okay, what went wrong with that interview?
Exactly.
Okay, like, you know, was it which part of the interview do you elect in? What can you do better? And like, you know, were you too honest? Were you too abrupt? Or like, did you say something wrong? Like, you know,
Or was it just a bad
evaluate it.
fit, or you just did not fit with
Exactly.
the role, and that's not who you are, but that's just like, it was not the right fit.
Exactly.
And I remember, because like the day like 3 days ago when I called you,
Yeah.
you literally laughed and you said, Mallika, I just finished my crying session 45 minutes ago with my mom because I just feel like a failure too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy, but like I think it takes so much courage to just get up, wipe your tears, and actually problem solve, as you said, and be like, listen, I've cried, I feel a little better, and now let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Let's change it.
Yeah.
And let's move forward. So I feel like both of us, like even though whatever has happened, we have moved forward by problem solving each and every day. And now we are in a way better position, mentally stable than we were before.
Yeah. I think like, you know, you learn from your mistakes, right? I think in most of our guest appearances, I've learned majorly 2 things. In your life, you need to have, the first thing is that in your life, you need to have a very good support system, right? And if you don't have the privilege of having an existing one, create one for yourself.
Shruti said that.
Shruti said that. And I think that's been a very common theme between all our guests. The reason why they were able to go so far or achieve the things that they want to have was because they knew that they had someone supporting them from behind. Be it their kids, their parents, their friends. Exactly. Like it's always, you need to have the support system for yourself, knowing that you're not alone in whatever you do. And that's what propels you to go forward with your dreams and achieve your goals. I think that's the number one thing I've learned across all our guests. The second one is that to fail is to grow. In order to grow, you need to fail.
Fast.
Fail fast and fail forward. I think that's what Cindy said.
That is very true. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
No, it is so true, because when you said that, when you got rejection, you called your mom.
Yeah.
And you're like, and who do you want to work for? Like, you want to like work hard for your mom, for your parents, right?
Exactly.
And when I cried, I told you like I'm so scared of how my mom and dad will react.
Yeah.
And when my mom came home from her makeup school, you were with me, and then she was like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We move forward.
Exactly.
And I told you like I thought she'd have a more dramatic reaction because I'm leaving like in 3 days, and she was like, that's fine, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's having that support system who believes in you, and regardless of your choices, you will, you know, mess up, or you will make stupid choices once in a while, right? That's human. But as long as you make those stupid choices, you learn from it, and you have a support system that believes you and be like, okay, you made this stupid choice. It was stupid, but we move on. We move forward.
And I think sometimes like overthink so much, especially in our 20s, because like,
Yeah.
what will people think, or how will our parents react? But like the
Exactly.
truth is, like, they would be fine if you are fine.
Yeah.
I think we just overthink about their reaction, when like they will just be happy if we are happy with what we are doing in our life, no matter how big or small it is.
Exactly. Like when, like, you know, I've had, like, the main reason I feel, you know, recently I've been evaluating a lot of my own, like, personality, a lot of, you know, what I like, my perspective about life, you know, the perspective of the people around me and the relationships around me. And I think a part of that perspective was that I was so scared about what people thought of me. You know, like, I'm not gonna lie, this podcast had raised my self-confidence a lot, being in front of a camera, because I could, yeah. And that's why, like, when I first did this, right, our very first episode, I was scared shitless. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, listen, Audrey, I'm getting anxiety, but you don't say anything though.
No, I don't say anything.
You
but
don't vocalize it.
I don't vocalize it, but in my head I was like, shit, like, what are my friends gonna think? What are my this gonna think? Like, shit, like, that's why I wasn't so keen on marketing it as much in the first place, like on my own Instagram, because I was like,
I don't want to put myself out there.
Yeah, you know, like, what will people think? You know, like, I'm starting a podcast, I'm not really like doing this, you know, like, is what I say going to be impactful? What will people think about what I say?
Yeah.
And I just had all these thoughts, right? And then recently I started, like, realizing, like, you know, I'm always so controlled about what people think of me. Not by external, like, not like Instagram followers, right? But just simply by the friends around me, or like, you know, my partner, or my family, like, people. I'm so conscious about, okay, what are they gonna think? Will they look down on me? Will they think, oh, you know, like, I'm not, you know, oh, she made a stupid mistake again, you know, like, oh, I keep thinking these kind of things, you know. And I realize my whole life has been controlled about what I think people think of me. So
are you a people pleaser? By
recently, I received that criticism. Someone told me, well, to be fair, my partner told me that, he said, you are a people pleaser. And I'm like, huh?
You are a people pleaser.
And I was like, am I? And I was like, I reflected about it, and I was like,
It's not a bad thing though, like,
it's not a bad thing.
no, I don't think it's like a negative thing at all. It's about like how you do it.
Yeah. And it has, being a people pleaser has controlled most of my life.
That's how you do it. I feel like most things about what you said was like in your head. I do not know much, but I feel like in your head you're like, oh my god, like, but people don't really think, or they have time to think these days.
Yeah.
I think it took me a long time to become this shameless in terms of I can put anything and everything out there which I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Because even like look at social media, like so many people who like rose to like fame and power and money because they were just putting that stuff out there, like no matter if the people thought they were cringy or lame or like whatever.
There's always a saying in marketing, right? Like, regardless of a bad image or a good image,
good publicity, like it's publicity. Like,
it's, at the end, it's still publicity, that you're
publicity.
getting. Yeah.
I mean, don't put anything bad out there, but like, you know, like just know what you're proud of and you'll be fine.
Exactly. Being a people pleaser has controlled most of my life. So recently, like, it actually just very recently, I evaluated, I journaled, and I told myself, like, I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. When I make a decision because of me, right?
Not because of anybody else.
Exactly. I wouldn't, like, of course you make good decisions, right? And when you make bad ones in retrospect, then you learn from the consequence. You learn from the past. Don't repeat them again. But whatever decision I want to make it because of me, but not because of, oh, what will other people think? Then okay, I'm not. Like, not making a decision, it's also a decision. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I want to learn that from now on. And I think I've changed gradually as a person. Yeah, within that.
Oh, I love that. I think the one thing that reminds me from this is, even like when I was making Instagram reels, like when I was showing my notice, like in October or something, like it's been 5 months now.
Yeah.
And I was making it like regularly for like the last 10 days, and then
I remember.
11th, yeah, because you were editing for them as well.
Yeah.
And on 11th day, I'm like, I don't know if I'm creating value. So the biggest mistake I made was ask people what they thought. The people who were not even my audience. And they're like, I don't think you're creating any value. I think it's like, it doesn't work. Like, you should do this. And that like messed up my mind.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I was so comfortable doing what I was doing, but now because I'm getting 5 opinions from my friends who were not even my audience, I stopped making Instagram reels. You know it.
I told you. I said like
you told me like do what makes you happy.
Exactly.
And then, that's the biggest mistake. And then I'm like, then I stopped and I never got back into it.
Wait, was me telling you?
No.
Okay.
You editing my reels. It was not you. It was not Audrey.
I was like, wait, hold on.
No. My point is now I told there's a girl that I saw who like was making the same thing and like she like rose to like thousands of followers.
Exactly.
And it's not about like me comparing, but I'm like, if I would have just continued, I wonder what would have happened. So my takeaway was that you should never like ask your friends for advice when they're not your audience. You should ask them for their feedback, but like don't let that mess with your head because your audience is very different.
Right. Yeah. That's a very good.
If they are your audience, then fine. But if they're not, like don't ask them for advice.
That's very good feedback. Yeah. Don't ask advice from people you wouldn't.
Who are not your audience.
Who are not your audience, who you probably wouldn't learn from, who don't know a thing about.
Maybe they'll be like, they're my friends. Like they'll be good for advice if I'm having a relationship crisis or if I'm like feeling low. Like
on personal matters.
If my things that messed up in my life. But like for things that they're not even an audience for, like the content that I make, I should not be stopping because of that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest learning that I had recently.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I think, you know, I had one more learning as well. You're gonna kill me for it. But like the book.
She's been talking about this book for the last like fucking, oh my god, 10 days. Oh my god,
I'm gonna beep it out.
This like beep. The courage to read this like what
the
about
courage
that
to,
book,
I'm gonna
Audrey?
link the book down below. I'm not sponsored by this, but I'm gonna link the book down below because I think, you know, I don't know if I said this on Cindy's podcast. I know we talked about it on Cindy's podcast for a bit, but we, like, when I finished reading, right, I still remember, I think it was just 2 nights ago I finished reading that book. I closed it and I like cried. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the protagonist in the book, like if anybody who actually heeds my advice and read it, then you'll start to know a lot about who I am as a person right now. But the protagonist in the book, basically everything that he said. So the book follows a dialogue between a guy. They don't name the guy. They call the guy like youth, right?
Youth.
Yeah, like youth, like a young person. And then a dialogue between youth and philosopher. They don't name the philosopher as well. So it's just a dialogue. And the youth comes in very cynical of life, very skeptical of people. You know, he's like, you know, the world is the world, you know, there's all this hierarchy. He's just a very cynical person. And the philosopher is trying to, and he seeks out the philosopher in understanding the key to happiness and the key to being free, you know, like internally free. And it follows obviously a kind of not psychology, a kind of philosophy, right? They call it Audrey philosophy, where they basically talk about, you know, all problems are interpersonal problems. Every problem is an interpersonal problem. That was what is in the book. Because you think about it, there is no individual if there is no society. Because let's just say you're the only person in the world. You're not an individual, you're literally the only person in the world. You can only feel as an individual if you're within a society. Like, some people might not understand, some people might get the drift, but I feel like if you read the book enough...
Yeah, I just went like this. I'm trying to so hard to like understand what you're trying to say.
Maybe I'm just butchering the explanation.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, like, am I stupid? Or like, are you explaining properly?
No.
Or I was like fully blank right now with what you just said.
I'm probably butchering the explanation right now, but if you read the book, you understand.
Give me stop promoting the book already.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stop promoting the book right now. But it just spoke to me a lot because when I read it,
it's an escape mechanism.
It's not. It's the protagonist was literally me. Like
really?
Yeah. Like whatever he was saying, like I was like, oh my god,
that's me.
Yeah. And when the philosopher like said certain things to the youth, I literally felt as if the philosopher was talking to me.
I think it's very, very interesting and like important to like find something that gives you comfort apart from like human beings.
Yeah.
So like when you said that when you feel low, like you read that book and you feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like I think for me, like I don't even know what I do that makes me. I'm still on that journey of discovering it.
No,
but
but you said right. You like to go on reels.
and I record myself just like processing my feeling, but like there's no thing that comforts me as much.
Is there no comfort?
Actually, it's interesting that I'm promoting another YouTube video. I was feeling very, very low. Lazy actually. Like 2 days I was feeling very, very lazy. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was like watching like Netflix and like mindless television, right? And I'm like, I have 5 more days left in this country and I'm here on my bed watching TV that I could in any part of the world. Right? And then I'm like, how not to be lazy on YouTube. And there's a video called How Not to Be Lazy and Pathetic. I clicked on it because it had like 4.5 million views. I'm like, somebody might have seen value in this. As a girl.
Did you see value in it?
I'll tell you what happened, Audrey.
Okay.
Oh my god. The girl was wearing like a face mask, so I could not see her face. And she was literally screaming at the camera, like she was screaming at me. Like, get up! Leave your bed! And she was literally like, she said this just blew my mind. She said, you know why you're lazy? When someone doesn't have food on the table, they don't have any choice than to go out and work. And someone doesn't like that support their family, they don't have any choice. And they don't have a choice like roll Instagram and like watch TV, where they have to like go out and get their stuff done or like find a job. You are privileged that you can be lazy and be like, I am lazy. Your parents did not spend so much money on you, so you could like lie on the bed and like watch TV and be like, I'm lazy, I'm not feeling well today. So being lazy is an option and it's a privilege and you choose that. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so true.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, my father is not spending so much money on me and like struggling so much to like support my lifestyle.
Just for you to be lazy.
Just for me to like sit on bed and watch Netflix when I'm not even sure what my plan is in Dubai.
So you immediately got your ass up and started
And I
jumping.
literally stopped. I didn't even watch the video. I'm like, I stopped the video. She's like, hey, being lazy is a privilege. She screamed at me. I'm like, oh my god, sorry.
You know what? We're gonna link that video down below.
Yeah, we should link it.
Yeah, we're gonna link it somewhere up here.
Yeah.
In this somewhere.
I cleaned my room. I took a shower. I did my makeup because I feel better when I make makeup. And I sat down and edited a video, which I was trying to edit for the last 10 days, and I published it in 3 hours. Everything.
Yeah.
So that girl changed my life. So that comforted me. To answer your question.
It's wow. So you see there is like a meaning towards your YouTube reels and everything. Like you do sought YouTube and social media out for comfort.
I really, really do, and I feel like I've been coming from insecurities, and for me, YouTube has given me so much confidence, like this podcast.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like putting yourself out there gives you so much confidence. That you love yourself even more and you're like, you know what, like I'm destined for great things, but I'm also like destined to spread my wisdom in the world. And like just like, you know, just put myself, I love the camera. And once I was scared to even take a picture of me because I'm like, I look so ugly. Oh my god. I swear to God, Audrey, I was like, do not click me, I'm ugly.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, please click me, everyone. I'm gonna pose. Click, click, click.
She's a real camera lover. I'm not even kidding.
If I could literally have a cameraman like follow me or like 20
Paparazzi?
hours a day, I would love it. I'd be like, I want to record myself, have someone recording me. Oh my god.
You attention whore.
Just a camera, not anything else. Yeah, and I feel like you also really love being on camera.
I do like being. I like, you know, like I said, right. It's more of the when before this, right. I think you said something. Before this podcast, she said something like, "I have no shame," and I'm like, "I have a lot of shame.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of shame. Like,
Yeah, because
I do have a lot of shame when I
feel like you're getting better though, and I think everyone starts with like what people think. I think it stems all from what you said, that you have this cloud which like I do not know how everyone around me will react. Like another thing about Audrey, she actually has a Telegram channel and she has like 12 people on it, and she literally vlogs her entire life on it, and I joined that channel.
It's gone quiet now.
It's very quiet now, but like I'm like, Audrey, this is gold. Because for me, everything is content. I'm like, this is gold. If you put it online, you have so much traction, and like you'll actually inspire people, maybe, or like just like comfort people.
Yeah, it's just 12 people, right?
And
like,
she's
you
like,
know,
I love camera, but it's for me, which is again totally fine. Like a lot of people want to do something for themselves, and that's completely alright as well.
Yeah, like I did, like, you know, when I was younger, and when I mean younger, like 3 years ago, I did always.
Yeah, younger. Now I feel old.
What do you mean you feel old. If you feel old, I should feel ancient. You know?
should feel ancient on me. I feel old.
What kind of partner do I have at this point? But
You're 24 now.
I'm turning 20.
Feels like the real, like Kylie and you know the real Kylie and Kendall?
No.
Oh my god, you don't watch Instagram enough.
I deleted Instagram.
Kylie's 25 and Kendall's 27. So Kylie's like, I'm 25 and Kendall basically 30. And Kendall's like, that's rude. Like, it's true.
It's true because you're more 30 than 20 plus.
Yeah. So you're not Asian though, you're like just like older.
I'm not. Hell, we're just 12 months apart. Excuse me.
Audrey.
Literally 12 months apart.
I feel very old at 23. I feel like, what have I done?
It's okay. I feel like COVID actually, like, you know, this is completely irrelevant, but I feel like COVID just stole away all our good years.
No, I love COVID. For the time that it gave me. Obviously.
No, but I honestly genuinely feel like it just went past. Like, I don't even remember what I did when I was 21.
So off topic.
Yeah, this is so off topic.
We're not putting COVID right now. This is just really off topic. It's discovering who you can be.
Yeah,
it's discovering to that.
Anyway, going back to our last 2 months.
But you know, another thing that I've realized, my jaw is hurting like from laughing. Another thing that I've realized is like going for it is like truly the option. I feel like so many guests on our like episodes so far, like they literally just went for whatever they were passionate about and they had faith in themselves and like now they're doing that full time.
Yeah.
So I just feel like even like the idea of just trying multiple things and just seeing what sticks. I had multiple business ideas and I will act on any of them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm not really sure, like I don't know if it'll work out, but like so many of our guests would like fail fast and fail forward.
Yeah. It's all about taking that first step.
Exactly. And yesterday I was trying to like, there's a business idea I have, and yesterday I was like trying to like see if I can do that without a license in Dubai. I'm like, if it doesn't work, cool, but I'm just gonna go for it and just see if it sticks.
Exactly. You know, like, I mean, I keep using this podcast as an example, but look at this podcast. We literally did this. We created the logo, we opened the YouTube account, we created the Gmail all within 2 hours, and we recorded our first episode in 1 hour, and I did the editing and we just pushed it out within like what, 2 days? A week? Or I don't know, but we scheduled this and we pushed it out within a week, and just to get it going, you know, and look how far we've come. I mean, it's not a lot, but look how far we've come.
It is true, and like sometimes going for it is the only option. Like you would never know if you don't try.
Exactly.
And even if you like give it like 1 week, 2 week, 1 month of time, like it's not a lot, but like at least you know you try. Like there's no what if it worked, what if it did not work.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this goes into the rejection, right? I mean, this goes out to all the people right there who, you know, have, you know, probably don't want to start a business. They just want to go for their 9 to 5. They want to get a job, and you know, or maybe they don't have a choice but to get a job, right? And they're facing, you know, the very tough competition in the market right now.
It's horrible.
It's really horrible. And I mean, that goes to say, right? Like every rejection, you know, I've been through the same thing. You've been through the same thing, right? All the rejections that we face, like it is, you know, each of them can be a little like voice of like, oh, you failed. You know, like every rejection is like a little meaning. Like,
I think you also question yourself and you're like, listen, like it was like nothing bad was happening in your life, right? I don't want to go back to that again, but like we chose to do something and then we're like, listen, like we know what we are good at. When there's so many things happening, recurring, like again, like about like rejection and stuff, we're like, am I really that bad?
Exactly.
Or, like, did I have a bad perception of me? Like when I cried calling you, I said, like people's perception of me is just so different. Like they think so highly of me. Like I can like do so much, and that's how I feel. Perception is reality. But after all of this time, like when that offer got pulled out, I'm like, has it all been a lie? Like am I really the same person? Or, like have I been pretending to like be someone who I'm not?
No, I think it's just a stepping stone. I mean, every rejection is like well, you can see a rejection as a failure, but like we've been mentioning throughout this podcast, fail forward, right? Like
exactly. And I feel like with rejections as well, like I think it makes you realize what you really want to do as well. Like maybe it is not the right fit, and I feel like we should not have rejection as like who we are at all.
Don't take rejections personally, you know.
But at the same time, like as I said, like I think it's more about you never know what you were destined to do. So if it did not work out, like something better is genuinely on its way.
There's always this sentence like, when one door closes, another door will open. Like, and that's what, you know, my mom has always told that to me again and again and again. She's always telling me like, you know what, when one door closes, another one will open, you know, don't worry about it. Something will come up for you. And, you know, at the same time, like there's, like I've been so anxious about, you know, because I have to stay in, you know, to stay in London, we need this sponsorship. it's not easy getting a visa sponsorship. So of course, like, you're competing with like the locals, with European nationals who have the settlement status, who it's just easier for them to stay here. And you know, like, it's tough, right? But you know, we're gonna make it. You know, as long as you have that mindset, like, you want to go forward, you are going to make it. You know, you want to do what it takes. You know, you will do what it takes.
I was speaking to my father this morning, and I was telling him about what's happening with the Dubai thing and what am I doing, blah blah. And he's like, yeah, like, I have full faith. And he was like so chilled out. I'm like, how you, like, that is making me so nervous. Like, you're so chilled out. And then, you know what he said? He said in Hindi, and he said, whoever wants to work will find them.
Yeah.
Like, when we talked about like Cindy and she wanted to go to Australia on the podcast, right? I think it was episode 6.
Yeah.
And she said, I found a job in 2 weeks. And she's like, if you really focus and if you really want something that bad,
you'll get it. Yeah. It really is. Yeah, if you want it hard enough, you will.
You have to work towards it, but like, you will get it.
Exactly. You know?
And that's why, like, when I cried, and like those 3 hours were so productive, and like now I feel in a much better place, because if you really want something that bad, like, you just get it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny because, like what you said, right? Whenever I feel like shit, I cry, and then once I'm crying, I will start like getting onto my computer and be like, okay, this is shit. Yeah, I start like with my tears running, you know, I just on the computer like, yes, you know, like, I'm gonna do this, you know. So that's what I usually do. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just have faith. And just trust the process. And I feel like I'm getting this new excitement into like understanding what's next. You know, you never know who you meet.
Exactly.
Where you meet, and that's why I think Audrey and I have always been a big believer of networking. I think Audrey is like getting into that zone.
Getting there.
So I think most of the guests that we had on the podcast came from networking events.
Exactly. Yeah, I was honestly very surprised. I was very surprised. It's all the connections that you keep within you, you know, and I think one of the main things I learned from, you know, all these guest appearances that, you know, most of them Mallika brought in, which I'm very grateful for. And like, you know, I really appreciate, you know, Mallika's connections and networking skills. She's very talented. People who need sales people. She's your girl.
I'm good at sales. Employed.
But yeah, I think one of the main things I learned from the guest appearances as well about the networking aspect is that, you know, like, at the end of the day, when you meet someone, you know, be very intentional with meeting them. You know, be intentional in terms of, you know, really genuinely want to know the person. You know, I think we covered one of the aspects of networking, which was when you go into a conversation with someone, building a relationship with them, you don't go in expecting something already in return. You know, then that relationship will never get anywhere, right? You want to meet that person and create a genuine connection with them, because, you know, that's how a relationship begins.
Very good, I'm so impressed.
Wow, thank you. I learned so much from Mallika.
You actually learned very fast though. I learned so much from you, but my point is, like, you're very right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've said this so many times. It is not about who you are, it is about who you know. And I cannot emphasize on this enough.
I read somewhere on LinkedIn the other day, your network
is your net worth.
Is your net worth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important.
And I genuinely believe that, as we said, like in the beginning of the podcast, it's about like having that open space for change and being very okay with what's coming next and the unknown.
Yeah.
You have to have that space within yourself for that conversation to happen. So if someone is looking at you, like I tell you what I told Audrey, I'm like, if someone is like some icebreakers, like someone is looking at you, like smile. And if you see something in their hand, like you see iced coffee or something, you're like, oh, I love that brand, or like, wait, like, be genuine about it. Like,
yeah.
obviously, like, no, like, false flattery.
Yeah.
But be like, oh, I love iced coffee too. Like, or like, I drink it every morning as well. Like, we all need one, right? Like just like small comments that are relatable. But like, if you think that person could be your friend or like could be a good person to speak to, like, it doesn't hurt to say a hello.
Yeah.
And to just have an icebreaker.
I'm so shit at that. I'm so shit at like going out of
the comfort zone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have to practice, otherwise you'll never know.
That's true.
How you are.
That's true.
And like literally you can have a conversation and then not even have to exchange details.
Yeah.
But like if you see that person again, like 5 years, I do not know. Like if that was a memorable conversation, like if faces were like exchanged,
yeah,
they might remember you.
Yeah. As ironic as I sound, because like I remember in season 1, like our last episode, like how to sell yourself, like we did cover this topic as well. Like, you know, it's all about going to your local barista, having like a chat with them, you know, when you pick up your coffee and be like, just thank you, nice weather today, huh? Like, just start that conversation. Yeah. And the worst thing that you're gonna get is like like
get
a
out,
stank
or like,
face.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like,
it's
the guy doesn't
fine.
wanna
I
talk
mean,
to
you move on. You be like, listen, like he might be in a bad mood for something that's happening with his life.
Yeah,
That's completely fine.
exactly. So I think networking is also a pretty interesting thing that we picked up during the guest
Our
appearances.
conversations, and I feel like networking, like something that we learned was networking doesn't happen in just events.
Yeah.
It happens in your every single day life.
Yeah, you never know who you might bump into at the airport, at your local coffee store, you know, when you're walking in the street and then a dog gets loose and then you have to stop them, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, I guess that's what we learned throughout our guest appearances.
Oh my god, we learned a lot.
I know we have.
And I can't believe it's the last episode. Like I'm feeling like so weird because I'm like, oh my god, like I will not be able to do this next week. Like
It is the season
for me,
finale.
this is so weird. I'm like, we are planning season 3 as well.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the season finale? How do you feel now we've come to the final episode of this season? It's been a whole journey.
I am feeling my heart's full. Like I there is no feeling of, oh, we could have done this better, or like this is like my heart's just so full that we are here, and there is something called Let's Unwind in this world. And if even there's like a one person like who knows about this or like might have benefited, which I know they did because they texted us.
Yeah.
I am just, my heart's full. I'm like, listen, like we did something, and I'm very grateful that we did.
Yeah, I'm also very grateful. I know that, you know, we started this from our bedrooms. We started this in hopes of...
We are sitting in my living room.
we upgraded into the living room now. But like, we learned a lot. I think my heart is equally as full from all the guests that we have learned from, all the chats that we've had. I think just by sitting down and, you know, we've grown a lot as a podcast and as two people, individuals, friends. I think Mallika and I had so much, like, we bonded over this podcast way more than when we were friends. Like,
that is also right. And I think just on that, like, I think we've had like a fair share of like arguments. Like, we are not someone like, we're like,
no,
we are not yes ma'ams at all.
Yeah.
So like if we argue, like we really argue, but I think it's also very important that when you work with friends,
it's all about a communication.
You have to be very clear about how you guys feel about a certain topic and keep that friendship aside, because this is something that I suffered from it. And it's a skill that we're still both working on. It takes a lot.
At the end of the day,
keep it aside. but we're doing our best.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, you know, we are friends, but we're also business partners. That comes with, you know, whatever you see on screen, you know, sometimes you just have to learn that whatever you see on screen, it's not entirely the truth, right? And I think that's one thing we learned as well, you know, from all the, you know, we discussed the personas of the hustle culture on Instagram, you know, the hustle culture of motivation, whatever we see online, it's not everything as it seems all the time, right? And we just got to learn how to differentiate that. Like, behind the screen, we are friends, we're also business partner, we will argue. But I think that's also a learning curve for the both of us, and I really appreciate that. You know, you really learn how to deal as a business owner, as a co-founder, as a content creator. It's not easy, and I really appreciate the learning experience that I had with you.
Thank you, Audrey. I do too. No, I genuinely feel like we have literally managed time zones and work and our fair share of responsibilities.
Yeah,
and it takes a lot.
It does.
To just do it all with a smile and then just talk as friends and like even call when we're both crying, keeping the podcast aside. But yeah, before we end this episode, we will ask the same question we've been asking all of our guests this season. Yeah, I'm not even prepared for this. Okay, Audrey, I'll start with you because I'm like, I have to think about this.
Oh God, why, man?
I should have thought this before. But what's this one advice that you'll give to someone who is in their 20s feeling 20,000 things at once about being comfortable with the unknown? Something that you have learned or you still want to work on.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because like there's so many things that I'm learning by myself as well, right? There's a lot, like in your 20s, I think you're always constantly learning new things about yourself. You're constantly learning new things about the world, about the people around you. So like you as a person will never be static. It'll always be dynamic. You're growing with every conversation and every experience that you have. So I think probably one advice I would give. This is...
How do you take so much time? Yeah,
I'm talking so hard to give myself...
Yeah, I know, like we don't need filler words right now.
One advice. I think I will stick to the fail forward advice.
Fail forward.
That's
fail
the biggest
fast,
thing.
fail forward.
Fail fast, fail forward. I think like in your 20s you are bound to have a lot of rejections, a lot of failures.
Yeah.
A lot of times where you feel like a failure, like you haven't done enough, you haven't done, as you should. And I think, it's okay to feel that way. You learn, as long as you learn and then you move on, if you learn and you move forward, I think that's the best thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah, I think that resonates with what Pratik said in the episode 1 of our season 2, and he said that even when I'm not writing something or writing a play, I'm still thinking about the characters. I'm still thinking about the storyline, even when I'm in the shower, I'm like not feeling well or overwhelmed by work. So that's still progress that we do not even think about. We beat ourselves up, which is like the biggest problem.
Everything's a work in progress.
Everything is a work in progress.
Yeah. Even if you think you've succeeded, even when you think you're already successful, even if you're in your 50s, your 60s, I think everyone is still constantly a work in progress.
Yeah, my mom, literally, she's 45 years old and she has gone to makeup school starting this week, which is crazy. And I'm doing her homework every night. But that's all right. But there's no time. Like, you can literally start whenever you want, wherever you want.
Yeah.
Like, that's not my advice though. I have a different one.
I'll flip the question on you then. What's your advice to people in their 20s, who feel equally as lost, equally as uncertain? What's your advice?
I have two. Very, very quick though.
Okay.
And something that I've been practicing lately in the last 1 month, which has been the most overwhelming month of my entire life when everything is unknown. The first one literally is just really reiterating that everything truly happens for a reason. And if things do not work out, trust me, it is for your good. Like, because things did not work out for me for like 10,000 times in the last month, and I've been so overwhelmed. But it's about problem solving. So like just crying, getting up, problem solve, and move forward. And you will know that something will work out because you want it hard enough. And my second advice that I'm still practicing is just going for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm someone who has 20,000 ideas in like 3 days about this stuff, and I'm like, let me talk to my friends and see if it works out. And like some people will be like, no, maybe it's not a good idea, just like move on.
Yeah.
But it's about the same thing Audrey said, like fail fast, fail forward. Like now I'm trying to like set up this one thing that I want to do in Dubai. And I'm like, if it doesn't work, oh well, like it's a good TED Talk story, which is what I tell myself. I'll be a TED Talk speaker one day, so I'll talk about this as a failure. And if it's not, successful company, I'm gonna make a lot of money from it.
Exactly.
So just do whatever you think comes to your mind in terms of an idea and go for it, because you never know.
Yeah, there's no point
Thinking. It's like the podcast, like we said, just do it.
Yeah, just do it, and then you learn, and then you execute, and you pivot, and you pivot, and you pivot. There's no point planning 10 strategies, planning 10 years, but never executing
perfect.
it.
Like just do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess with that, we have come to the end of this podcast. I mean, season and podcast.
Not the podcast. We have season 3 brewing, so we'll have that in a few months' time. You will be updated. But
we have come to the end of officially this season and this episode.
Oh my god.
It's been a ride, and it's been a good ride with all of you, our viewers, our listeners, and our guests. And we appreciate every single moment we've spent on this podcast. Thank you for listening, and thank you for always tuning in, for supporting us, and for those who have found value in our podcast and our messaging and our vision. We're very happy to be able to know that we have provided that value to you. So thank you once again for listening in. This has been
lovely. I agree. Like, our episodes have been very, very long. Everyone's like very busy these days. So if you take out the time to even listen to us and find value, we just cannot appreciate you enough, because time is everything. So thank you so much for your time and tuning in like always. This was Audrey and Mallika season 2 season finale.
And thank you for listening to Let's Unwind.
We will see you in the next one.
Exactly. In the upcoming season.
Much love.
Bye.
Bye.